Let's talk about food, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Welcome to Love Your Body, Love Your Life, my second episode of my podcast. My name is Jenna. I'm the host of today's show. I'm also the author of the book titled Love Your Body, Love Your Life, 52 Tips That Will Radically Change Your Health. You can find my book on Amazon and on barnesandnoble.com. And yeah, today we're talking about food, body image, how I ditched the scale, and all of the above. All of the things that we all go through mentally every single day about body, about food, what we should eat, what we shouldn't eat, what the number on the scale said in the morning. I mean, it's just endless, right? So I wanted to give you a little bit of a history on myself because I feel like when I tell you this personal story, it's going to give you context of around my own body image issues and when that all started. So I was a ripe old age of 19 and I made the decision to move out of my house. I was living with my mom. She raised me as a single mom, so it was just her and I, but it was just time for me to fly the coop. So I moved out at 19. I ended up living with my high school boyfriend. So not really proud of that decision now, but that was the decision that I made at 19. So here I was, 19 years old, living with my high school boyfriend, and we were playing house essentially. And we had bills to pay. I was trying to go to college full time. I was working full time as a real estate assistant and living with this boyfriend of mine. So we were 19 years old. So we were eating like spaghetti and meatballs at 10 p.m. at night, you guys. I mean, it was a lot. We were playing grown up, we were playing adult. And so we were drinking wine and, experimenting in pot and all the things that you do at 19, right? When you're living with a high school boyfriend. So here we were eating this spaghetti and meatballs and 10 p.m. at night. And so I gained a lot of weight at that time, a lot of weight. I am normally and naturally a size 2 to 4. That's my natural size. And at that time I went all the way up to like a size 12 to 14. Yeah, so it was a big wake-up call. And I feel like I want to tell that story because that was like the first time that I ever started to like really care, I guess, or even like notice my body because I started to be uncomfortable, right? Like I had a lot to do in a day. Like I said, I was going to college full time. I was working full time. I had tons of responsibilities and I started to just feel uncomfortable. My clothes weren't fitting, obviously. And so anyway, so one day I was driving my Volkswagen Bug and I went to go visit family members, and I grew up with all women, and so I went to go visit my cousins, all girl cousins. And I remember going to their house, and I believe one of them was going to like a school dance or something like that. And everybody at that house, like all the girls, my family, they just felt so free to me, and they were skinny in my eyes and they were free. And I remember leaving that house that day and just feeling sad and like almost ashamed, right? Of where I was in my life. Like, why didn't I have that freedom? Why couldn't I just live at home and have no bills to pay and not have like adult responsibilities? Why couldn't I just be like a college student and just have this freedom? And I remember just feeling that shame and sadness around what I look like. And that was the first time that I, again, started to like really pay attention to like my body and like, whoa, like I don't feel like those other 19-year-old girls. Like even walking at the college that I went to, even like walking the campus, I was feeling not like the same, right? Because I was being an adult. So that was my first like experience at 19 to like to start like to, I guess, judge my body. I started to have judgment around it and started to like really like pay attention to like, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't eat that or that type of thing. So what ended up happening, you guys, was this high school boyfriend of mine, he cheated on me, okay? So yeah, he cheated on me right in front of my face. It was a big heartbreak for me because at that age, you just feel like you're gonna be with this person forever and it's like your end all, right? So what happened is I ended up having to move back to my mom's house, or like apartment, I should say. We were living in a small, tiny studio apartment. And it was a blessing for me, even though I didn't think it was because I moved back. And my mom was always been big into exercise, so I started to exercise. I could go back to the gym. It was like a routine. We got into this big, like, nice routine of us going to the gym in the morning, and then I wasn't dieting per se, but I wasn't eating spaghetti and meatballs at 10 p.m. So the weight fell off. It fell off. It was just, I was 20 years old, so my metabolism was great. And then I was introduced to a whole brand new group of friends. It was actually through one of my cousins. And this group of friends that I was started to hang out with, they would go to the river. So they would like talk about the river and the boating and how fun it was. And so of course I was invited, to go and experience the river. And again, I want to just keep saying that these people, this group of friends that I was hanging out with, they were all in college, okay? So I was already working full time. I wasn't a college student. So it was different. It was a different lifestyle that I was living compared to these group of friends that I was hanging out with. But I wanted, obviously, I was 20 years old, so I wanted to like hang out and have fun and go to the river. So all I could hear from the girls was, yeah, everybody puts on their bathing suits, their bikinis, and we'd go and we're gonna go party. Okay, cool. So I remember making friends with one of the girls, and we would go to the gym and lift weights and do like exercise and cardio and like all the aerobic classes that were in back in that day. And so I felt very prepared when the river was coming up, this trip was coming up. I felt prepared to be in a bathing suit. I felt like I had lost that weight that I had gained at 19. I was feeling confident. And so we all drive to the river, right? And of course there's boys there, right? Boys that we like. And, there's a huge group of us going. And we get to the river and we spend the night. We get there at night, we spend the night, and the next morning, all the girls are like putting on their bikinis and we're gonna go boating. And so I remember putting on my bathing suit and I'm like, whoa, like I have that feeling again. Like I don't look like the other girls. Like I was going to the gym, I was working out, I was lifting weights, I was doing aerobic exercise, but I still didn't look like those other girls. And so that same feeling dropped in my body of that shame and that like sadness and embarrassment. And I wanted to hide. Like I literally wanted to run home, but there was no going back. I was there and I had to endure this experience at the river. And so what I did was I got drunk. It wasn't like I was like out of the norm, right? Everybody was gonna get drunk, but I just told myself I'm just gonna get drunk because I don't wanna be seen. I don't want anybody to look at me. Like I just wanted to hide. I wanted to hide and I wanted to run. And so what happened is after that, we were driving home from the river, and I remember thinking in my mind, like, I am on a effing mission right now. Like, I am on a mission to do everything in my power to look like those other girls. And so I went home. I remember going home and like reading like all like Cosmopolitan, Vogue, like getting into like all the magazines and reading like what the magazines were telling the girls to eat, right? Like, if you go back in the day, you'll read like articles around food and what not to eat, what to eat. And so at that time it was like no carbs. I remember reading in a magazine like don't eat bananas. Like the model at that time that was popular, her name was Cindy Crawford. And she had this article in Cosmopolitan, and she wrote, like, they asked her a question like, what do you eat, or what do you not eat, or something like that. And I remember her saying, I never eat bananas. And I'm like, okay, no bananas. Like, I can't eat a banana, you know? Like, I was literally like on a mission, you guys, like to look like the other girls at the river, because I didn't want to give up the friends and the partying and all of that. And I liked a guy in the group. So I'm like, I need to like feel good. I wanted to feel like I belonged. And so again, the difference was that I was working full time. I had rent to pay. I had bills to pay. I had a car payment. And these friends, including the guy that I liked at the time, they were all in college. They were college students. They didn't have to get up at 6 a.m. to go to a job from 8 to 5. They were in classes. They were, you know, more lackadaisical. I'm sure they had their insecurities that I wasn't aware of, but I'm just saying, like, I had a different lifestyle. So basically, what I did was, and this was like kind of like the first like diet that I tried, is I was on a rice and tuna diet. Like, so I would get up and like probably go to the gym, but I had needed to be at work at 8. So I would probably go to the gym in the morning, or I would wait till after 5 to go to the gym. But I would have white rice and a can of tuna. And like, that was my lunch. Literally, that was my lunch. And so that was like the first kind of diet that I was on. So it was like white rice, tuna for like 5 days a week. So I can feel good on the weekends, drive out to this party or wherever the party was, binge, eat and drink all weekend, and then 5 days a week be on this rice and tuna diet. So yeah, so that was kind of like the cycle back then, and this kind of like just continued. This cycle of unbalanced eating continued for many years. For many years, I was trying to think of like all the diets that I've been on. I've been on the Atkins diet. I tried the Zone diet. I tried this funky egg diet where you would eat eggs for breakfast, eggs for lunch, eggs for dinner, and like you would just have tomato soup with the eggs, or like salad and like hard-boiled eggs. Like, it was just wild. So I tried all those diets, you guys, all through like my 20s, and I would like, again, I feel like it was just unbalanced thinking, unbalanced dieting around food, and all I wanted to do was fit in and, you know, have the boy that I liked at the time like me. I wanted to feel like those college girls and like be in a bikini and feel confident. Like, I felt like I was looking at them thinking, God, they're so confident. And I just wanted that. And so I achieved it, by the way. I definitely achieved my goal. But looking back, you know, it was just an unhealthy way of achieving the goal, right? But I didn't know any better. I just didn't. So fast forward, and again, I'm just giving you context around my food journey, because it's been quite the journey. So fast forward, I continued that for a while, like the whole like eating healthy during the week, 5 days a week, and then binging on the weekends. And then when I was 35, I got re-signed as a model. And on my Z card, so if you don't know what a Z card is, the Z card is where they take photos of you and they show, your agency shows that to like potential clients, and it has your height, your weight, and your measurements. So 5'7", 110 was my weight. And so then after, like, I kind of got like a little bit balanced after that whole period of like binge eating. I remember I balanced out for a little bit, and I was just really working out, and I don't know, the weight just kind of fell off. I think I was more balanced for a little bit, and I remember getting down to the 110 and then getting re-signed. But then after that, when I saw that number on the Z card, I had a scale and I was hyper focused on the number. So then I became, again, like very just obsessed with the 110. So then again, my thinking like started spiraling again when I would get on the scale every morning. And if I wasn't the 110, then I wouldn't be able to eat that quote unquote banana, right? Like I needed to be at the 110 pounds. And so again, that spiraled me into a whole other, like, I don't know, couple years of just hyper focusing on a number. And so then what happened was, while I was modeling at that time, I was asked to be a raw food, like in a raw food book as a model. I remember meeting this girl at this like health expo, and she invited me to be a model in her book. She was writing a book called Raw and Sexy, and it was all about raw food. So raw food, just so you know, is everything needs to be 118 degrees or less, like cooked under 118 degrees to be considered raw food. So basically it's vegetables and fruits. So I went to her house, and she was living in Malibu, I believe. It was far a drive for me to go, but she invited me to her house one day, and I had lunch. She made me a raw food lunch, and I was really just like impressed with how good that food was. And so I said, okay, I'll be a model in your book, but I need to walk the talk. So I became a raw foodie for 3 months. It was about 3 to 4 months. And this is when I feel something pivoted for me around food, because I went on this raw food diet. I got really, really involved. I started to follow Tanya Zavasta and David Avocado Wolf. Those are two people that are raw foodies to this day. And I started to learn more about food in another way. Like I started to eat all this fresh, organic food, like fruits and vegetables mainly. And I felt amazing. And in my mind, I wasn't dieting because I was eating a lot, but it was like a ton of salads, avocados, these fresh smoothies, pineapple, watermelon. I got into juicing. I got into making my own breads. And that's where I learned a lot of these recipes that are on my website, jennalobos.com. So a lot of my healthy recipes stem from me being on this raw food kick for 3 to 4 months. And that's when I really felt a shift and a pivot in my thinking, like the way I thought about food. And so I ultimately ended up ditching that scale. I'm like, you know what? I don't need this. I don't need the scale. I don't need to judge myself on a number. Like, I just want to feel good and feel my best. And when I was on the raw food, I was running a lot. I was doing marathons at that time, and I was running a lot of miles. And my time improved in my running. My size in my pants, like it slimmed down, and my digestion was on point. Like I've always had a little bit more of a sensitive digestive issues, but my digestion was on point when I was on this raw food kick. So in my mind, I'd hit gold. Like I literally found, like I felt like I was like invited to like a whole new world around food. And so it was exciting for me, really, truly it was. And yeah, so after that, after I went on this raw food diet, felt great, 3 to 4 months. And then what happened was my body temperature started feeling cold. So I started to get like really cold because I wasn't eating anything cooked. I wasn't eating fish, eggs, nothing like that. And so I started to incorporate hot miso soup just to see if that would help me, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. So I started to incorporate eggs, a little bit of eggs, a little bit more like warming foods. And then I went into being vegan for a little bit. So then I wasn't eating eggs. I was just eating veganism. Then I started to incorporate the eggs and the fish. So then I became vegetarian with just fish and eggs. And so, yeah, I've had so many, I feel like it's been a long history with me and body image and food, and it's just been, and all of these stories, you guys, like I wrote a whole story around my raw food days in my book, and I go into this whole raw food lunch. It was kind of funny, when I had the raw food lunch, she invited a monk to her house. Like, it was like, whoa, like, okay, what am I doing here, right? But it ended up being fine, but that whole story's in my book too. But yeah, so I wanted just to give you a little bit of context because I've just learned a lot about myself through food. And so that leads me to today. Today, and we're gonna go over what I eat in a day. But I will tell you that today in present time, I definitely don't diet. I do not diet. I don't own a scale. I feel like I finally look at food as a source of like nutrition, like actually like what's gonna serve my body the best. And what I try to do today is I try to listen to what my body needs, and I try to stay as alkaline as possible. So what does that mean? That means that I want my body, my internal organs, I want them to be alkalized versus acidic. Because when we're acidic, it causes inflammation. And that's the thing that I want to stay away from. And that's the thing that I always go back to, that raw food story, because I was eating so many fruits and vegetables that my body was just naturally becoming alkaline. And I feel like that's why like I leaned out just naturally. It was just really letting go of a lot of toxins. And so it was like, whoa, I felt amazing. I really did. I had so much energy. I didn't have to diet. I could eat so much food. I would take my food to my family gatherings. I would make my own healthy raw desserts. Again, that's on my website, raw desserts, jennalobos.com. Go to my blog. So I learned so much in that time frame, and I still kind of have that as a base today, but I don't eat 100% raw food. Okay, so I eat cooked food. But I try to stay alkaline. And I'm going to get to what I eat in a day. I just kind of wrote down some things that I wanted to say just in a typical day for me. But I want to start out by saying that I do food combining. So what that is, because food combining is, number one, it's the best for your digestion. And it also keeps your body alkaline just naturally. So food combining it's really simple. It's you eat protein with vegetables. So for example, you'll eat a piece of fish with all vegetables and no starches. So you would eat salmon, veggies, but no baked potato. And then if you decided that your body needed a carb meal, then you would eat a baked potato and vegetables, but no salmon, no fish. So that's kind of basically the gist of it. So protein with veggies or starches with veggies, but you can't combine them. And then you eat fruit alone. So you eat fruit alone. Don't eat fruit with bread or fish or eggs or anything like that, because it's really bad on the digestion. You will feel very bloated and you'll have a lot of gas. We don't want that. So you eat fruit alone and then no dairy. So that's kind of it. That's pretty much the basis of what I try to follow now. And there are things that I definitely try to stay away from, which are gluten, sugar, dairy, and alcohol. Sorry. Boo, no fun, but sorry, I can't. I can't with alcohol. Like I was told you guys, my river days, partied a lot, had my drunk days in the bikini. It was a lot of fun, but that's just not my lifestyle anymore. I will have a glass of wine here and there, maybe a half a glass. I'm so sensitive to alcohol now. But if I do out to dinner with like my dad loves to order a good bottle of wine. I'll have maybe a half a glass and like that'll be it. And I'll be satisfied, like just to taste it for a taste test. And like he orders very, very expensive, great tasting wines. So why not just enjoy it? But other than that, if it were up to me, I don't drink. I definitely don't come home and be like, okay, I need a glass of wine. It's not me. So I'd rather have a hot cup of like warm cocoa with like, just like warm grandmother love, hot cocoa, like after dinner, with dinner. But that's just who I am. So yeah, okay. So let's get into like a typical day of what I eat. So let's see, I was gonna reference my notes, but I think I can do this. Okay, so I get up in the morning, I start out with a hot, warm water, or I do warm water with lemon, and I take all of my supplements. And then I will take my shower, get ready for my day. I will come down and I'll eat breakfast. Breakfast will either be a protein shake, depending on my day and depending on my hunger, right? So I'll have a protein shake, I'll have good quality protein, chia seeds, hemp seeds, maybe some sunflower seeds in there, like all the seeds. I'll do a non-dairy milk, so I'll do almond milk or oat milk. And then I'll have maybe some MCT oil, or I love this collagen MCT like concoction. It has cacao in it, grass-fed butter, like all the good fats, which I'm not afraid of fats. I love good fats, olive oil, avocado, good nuts, all of that. So I'll do a really good protein shake. I am not an everyday coffee drinker. So if I do have coffee, it will be definitely, I'll put a good like ghee butter in there, or some sort of butter, because what the butter does with the coffee is it eliminates the acid. Because remember, we're trying to stay away from acid. So it cuts down in the acid of the coffee. So I'll do the butter coffee with my breakfast. So I'm definitely not a person that gets up and drinks coffee first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. Like I don't believe in that. It just doesn't work for me. I've tried it in the past where I do intermittent fast, and I feel like it's interesting. I tried it one time when I was in Hawaii. It was during COVID, and this is kind of a funny story. I went with my family to Hawaii, and during COVID, right? So we get to the Hawaiian Airlines, and they're checking like they had us take a COVID test like before we left, and we had to like show the Hawaiian Airlines when we came in through the airport. And the Hawaiian people weren't going to accept my negative COVID test that I got from a local hospital here in Orange County. So they put me in quarantine, you guys, from my family. They literally wanted to send me to a different hotel than what my family was staying at. And I was like, I told my brother, I'm like, brother, send me home. I'm like, if I can't be in the same hotel, just get me a flight tomorrow morning, I'm out, because I don't want to be excluded from family. So I was like really mad and really upset because I had a negative COVID test, and they weren't going to let me stay at the same hotel. And I'm getting to the whole like butter coffee thing, right? So anyway, so slept on it the next day. So my brother argued with the people and they at least allowed me to stay at the same hotel. So I was like, okay, I calmed down, but I was still quarantined to my room for 5 days. So I was like, what the hell? Like, really? Like, this sucks. So during that time, I was quarantined in my room. I couldn't go like have breakfast or anything with my family. So I'm like, what am I gonna do with myself? So I started to play like, just like get creative with my time. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna intermittent fast for 5 days just to like, I don't know. I just like, okay, like I'm gonna have butter coffee in the morning, you know, get room service, and I'm gonna do my workout in the room because I have my computer, and then I'll eat dinner. Like I didn't know what to do with myself. I was like doing karaoke in the room. Like it was like, whoa, for 5 days. Thank God we stayed, I think, for 2 weeks. So like the last half of the trip I was able to like enjoy. But anyway, so I do this whole intermittent fasting for the 5 days. And I mean, I was on vacation, first of all. I was quarantined to a room. So I can't really give you much feedback, but I know that I didn't like lose any weight or anything. I was the same. So I don't know. I go back and forth with this whole intermittent fasting. But anyways, going back to my typical day, I'm not a coffee drinker. If I drink coffee, it's butter coffee and it's with my breakfast. So I'll do a protein shake, like I said, which, by the way, that's another recipe on my blog, jennalobos.com, the chia seed protein drink that I drink. Or I will do a whole avocado and like green tea, or I will do a yogurt sometimes, or by itself, or I'll do a bread, like a grain-free bread toast with like tahini butter or butter. I definitely do breakfast, okay? Then sometimes I'll go throughout my day and I won't have lunch till maybe 3 or 4. If I get hungry during that time, I'll have like a snack, like a protein bar snack, or I like these little like raw food protein balls. Like they're really good. They have chia seeds in them. Like, let's see, hemp seeds, like all the seeds again. They're like kind of like oatmeal tasting. They're kind of like cookies. So I'll do that as a snack. And then I'll have my lunch, which is my biggest meal of the day. And sometimes, like I said, it's not till 3 or 4. So that'll be my biggest meal. And I'll either do a whole carb meal. I'll do a sweet potato. I'll do an avocado, a big salad, veggies, mushrooms. I mean, just like saute it like huge. I'll do nori, which is the thing that they wrap the salmon with. I'll do nori kind of like as my chips on the side. Or I'll do a protein meal, which is I do a lot of salmon. I'll do veggies, nori again. I love nori because it's really good for thyroid functioning and a lot of iron in that. Or I'll do black beans and rice. And I kind of will do anything I want, really. I'll do sushi if I can do that. And then again, a snack, something small, yogurt if I want. And then at night if I'm not going to dinner, at night is my smallest meal, my lightest meal of the day. I'll either do another protein drink, depending on what I had for breakfast. If I didn't have my protein drink in the morning, I'll have it at night. Or I'll do fruit alone, berries or strawberries or some sort of fruit. Or like just like, I don't know, crackers, like some healthy crackers with almond butter, something light. And then I'll do a hot like cocoa again, or hot tea. I love peppermint tea. I love lemongrass tea, or I love any kind of tea like for calming at night. And so that's kind of like a typical day for me, you guys. Like I don't diet. I don't own a scale. And I just want to feel good. I just want to feel good. And I feel like I now I feel like I choose foods that are going to nourish me and bring me happiness in my belly. Like, I mean, I'm not like a big spaghetti and meatballs person like I was at 19, but I want to feel nourished and happy and like satisfied. I'm not eating for the number on the scale. And so it's like, yeah. Let's see. I wanted to share. I mean, are foods that like my esthetician has told me to eat for good collagen in the skin. So I try to incorporate them, and I've already kind of mentioned a couple, which is I do a lot of sauteed mushrooms. I do a lot of dips, like almond dip or like yogurt dip, like non-dairy yogurt dip with my mushrooms. I'll do, which is collagen producing. Yogurt is really good for collagen producing, and also sardines. OMG. she just told me to start incorporating sardines in my diet. I had never tasted sardines. But apparently they're really good for antioxidants and collagen production. So have at it, you know, like I just tasted them the other day. I made them, they're not that bad. I bought them in olive oil, and I sauteed them with like tomato and like tomato paste, and it wasn't that bad. I made them with some veggies. So you can pair it with whatever you want. If you're not doing the food combining, you can put them on rice, kind of like a sushi, but I like to eat my protein with my veggies and not my starches. So yeah, I feel like that's kind of it. I feel like that's pretty much my typical day. I feel like the goal nowadays, and what I really want to share, is no judgment. Really, truly. Like, if you're gonna have the hamburger from In-N-Out and the French fries that taste yummy, and that's what you want and that's what you're craving, please eat that and really enjoy it. And don't say to yourself, oh, I was bad today. That's kind of like where we want to not go mentally, right? We don't want to have that mental loop of, again, I feel like it goes back to getting on the scale and having to be 110 pounds or having to be 120 pounds. Like, if you're still at that stage of your life, obviously no judgment. I feel you, I see you, because I remember that just takes up so much mental space. Like, all of the thinking all day long around what you can't eat, what you're supposed to eat, what you want, but you can't have that because that's what the scale said. Like, I feel you, because that is so much work, you guys. Like, it really, really is. Like, and so if you're there, no shade, no judgment. Like I said, I feel you, I see you, and I just want to say to you, like, try to like love yourself a little more and ask yourself the question, like, if I loved myself more today, what would I choose to eat? What would I choose to do for exercise? What would I choose to do if we want to lose weight? What would I choose to do in a healthy way? And again, I feel like it goes back to that grandmother love. Like, that grandmother love, like, you come home and your grandma just made fresh baked cookies. You know, it's like that love for yourself. Like, that's what we want to be in relationship with food, right? We want to have a good grandmother love with food. So yeah, so like, if you're craving a hamburger, have it. I mean, just, you know, meat is very grounding. It's very like grounding versus like fruit that's very light. Like, you can even like feel it, right? Like, if you think about eating strawberries versus a hamburger, you're gonna feel something different in your body. So just feel and think about, or like feel into, like really drop in your body and feel what you need. And if it's the hamburger, enjoy it and don't judge yourself. Like, just really, truly try to like love yourself. And I feel again, what was I started to ask myself when I was like writing my notes for the show, like, what was I trying to do with all these diets, right? Like, what was my goal? Obviously, I was really, really unconscious. Like, I was, in my 20s, and my goal was to just look hot in a bikini, like, I mean, if I'm honest, right? Like, I just wanted to look like the other college girls. I wasn't a college girl. I was working full time, going up, I was eating in my car during lunch and then taking a nap because I was so tired on a Monday from partying all weekend, where these other people were like at college still partying. That wasn't my lifestyle. So I think when it comes down to when I look back, like, I was trying to control, in a sense, right? Like, I was trying to control my life in a way. Like, I wanted to have like another life, and I wasn't living that life. So I was trying to control it. And so we can't control life. We could only drop in, love ourselves as much as we can, and then create from that space. We have to create from self-love. And I feel like if you drop in and ask yourself that question, your food choices will naturally and organically become differently. So, yeah, until next time, love your body and love your life. Bye.